I'm going to the Adirondacks soon and I'm going to be hiking Whiteface Mountain. I thought this would be a perfect time to create a science-based fitness strategy on the best ways to prepare for a hike. Stay tuned all the way to the end of the video where I actually show my 2-week log on what I did to prepare for this hike. So if you're not familiar with Whiteface Mountain, it's over 4,800 feet above sea level. It's something like the 5th tallest mountain in New York State, and the trail I'll be taking is going to be 6 miles all the way up. So I'll then have 6 miles back. I've never actually hiked it, so I'm not really fully sure how this is going to go. But I started looking up strategies on YouTube on the best methods for hiking as far as your prep work, on how you should exercise, on your cardio you should be doing, and I didn't find a whole lot. So what I thought is, might as well use my exercise science degree and try to create a strategy and go from there. So I'm not an avid hiker, so this is a little bit foreign to me. I wanted to develop a training strategy that you can use and apply prior to your hikes that are based on the biomechanics of hiking. From there, I want to see how hikers actually train and prepare for their mountain hikes. So I found a few Facebook groups and I basically put that question out there. Besides the 3 fundamentals that I'm going to propose in a second here, what else are some of the most important features? And I got some good feedback. Let's first address the 3 main principles I thought would be best suited to create a better hiker. Strength is the first of my 3 principles, and when we look at the biomechanics of hiking a mountain, we see a lot of hip extension, so our glutes will be very active. We'll see a lot of knee extension, so our quads will be active there, and we see some plantar flexion going uphill, so our calves are important to develop as well. Now, there's also some degree of hamstring activation, so we want to make sure our training program encompasses all of these muscles in our lower extremities. The second core principle is going to be endurance training. Now, I'm not going to be sprinting up the mountain or running up the mountain. The point of this is to enjoy it for me. I'm going to be stopping and taking pictures, enjoying views, and hopefully maybe seeing some wildlife. But for my trip, I'm planning it to take 5 or 6 hours, and I think it's important before I step into this ring to make sure that I can do 5 or 6 hours of constant movement. Not that I have to be hiking 100% of that 5 or 6 hours. I think it's a pretty good rule of thumb. If you can't walk 6 miles on level surface, you're not going to be able to hike 6 miles uphill. So the good thing about endurance training and your cardio is that there's so many great forms you can choose. You'll notice in my training log, I have a very odd form of cardio I like to mix in quite often. Now you'll see that at the end, but you can mix in jogging, biking, running, swimming. Any form of cardio that's going to elevate your heart rate is going to be beneficial for this long distance hike. So if we increase our strength and our endurance, then we're going to increase our function of our mitochondria. Our mitochondria are what produce ATP, and everyone knows them as I'm not even going to say it. ATP is what fuels movement in our muscles. Improving this can make you feel more energized. Now, I only bring this up because I think it's important to find out what exercise method can lead to the best optimization of our mitochondria, especially if your goal is to do a much longer hike than what I'm doing with just my 6 miles. Now, after looking at a few peer-reviewed studies, I came across a systematic review that shed some light on this topic. It found the following: training intensity appears to be an important determinant of improvements in the mitochondria function. Training volume seems to be an important determinant of training-induced improvements in the mitochondrial content. So I think this shows that some high-intensity training will definitely be beneficial, although volume is important as well, so we want to make sure we're not cutting that short. Our third principle is going to be increasing stability. Now we're going to find, depending on our terrain, that increasing stability is going to be obviously super important. We might be on sand, rocks, maybe in a vulnerable position, so stability obviously is important. So if we can improve our proprioception, then we will at least have a better chance of not getting injured and hopefully lead to a better experience overall. All right, so I want to get into my 2-week exercise log and show you guys a little bit of the training I've been doing to actually prepare. I'm not going to break down an actual like weight training workout. I'm going to create a separate video for that. Before I break this down, I definitely want to say that I think I went a little bit overboard and this might be overkill for this mountain. From what I've heard, it's not overly challenging and I might be training harder than I need, but at the end of the day, I'm planning to hike more challenging mountains in the future. So this at least kind of gives me a better baseline on what I can personally handle and how much more after this hike I feel like I could have done. So you can see here, my odd form of training is rollerblading. I don't think many people are out there rollerblading around. I grew up playing hockey, so I was always on skates, but you can see this is such a frequent form of aerobic training for me that I'm mixing it in almost every other day in most cases. Now you can see the frequency, and I underlined it here, of how often I'm actually training my lower body muscles with my quads, glutes, and hamstrings, also my calves. Since calves are smaller muscles, typically smaller muscles have faster recovery time, so they can be worked more frequently. After reading some of the messages on how other hikers train, one of the things that seemed pretty consistent that I might have been leaving out is core training. A lot of other hikers seem to really emphasize on how important the core is, so the last week of this training log, you can see there's a lot more core training mixed in. Hopefully all this extra core training really pays off in the end. Now, your training program isn't going to look exactly like mine, and I want to state that I am fairly active and I do train quite often. Yours is going to look a lot different depending upon how active you are prior to this. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay tuned because I'm going to create my climb into a little vlog. I'm going to post it here so we can see how this prep work actually turned out in real life and in practice. So I also am going to create an actual workout video like I said earlier, and I'm going to post that in probably 2-3 days, and that's going to be showing one of my training workouts for, you know, improving all of these pillars or principles that I talked about. So thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe, click the like button, you know the drill, or don't click it, whatever. Do what you want. All right, well guys, we'll see you next time.